game against the Houston Texans by Azeez Al-Shaair. And Al-Shaair, it was one of those plays where Lawrence goes into the fencing position because he hits his head on the ground too hard. And the fencing position is generally associated with a major concussion where your arms kind of lock or your hands kind of lock, similar to what Tua saw earlier in the year against Buffalo. Now, that happened to Trevor Lawrence, and I was personally shocked at the uproar that came from this hit. This hit was dirty, yes. This hit was out of line, yes. But acting like, did you see how some people reacted to this?
I did.
Stephen A. Smith on First Take basically acting like this guy murdered his family.
Right.
Can we slow down a little bit? Listen, dirty hit, no problem. I have no problem with him getting suspended. 3 games. Suspension. I was expecting 2. I have no problem with him getting suspended. But the level of where people were acting like this was the most malicious hit they have ever seen, I think is a little too put forth.
And I come from a fandom where James Harrison knocked out Colt McCoy cold. Where was the backlash? And I know we've come a long way with quarterback hits.
People are comparing it to the Vontaze Burfict hit. Which is nowhere near it.
No, it's
nowhere. It was the most dirty hit I've ever seen on a football field.
Nowhere near the Burfict hit. Nowhere near the James Harrison on Colt McCoy. And it's not even Antonio Brown, kicking the Brown punter back in the day. It's not even that bad. All right, 3 games is a lot. And the bye week doesn't count. They have a bye week coming up. Yeah,
he's going to come back for their last game of the season.
The bye week won't count, which I kind of thought was, a little harsh.
You're spending 3 games.
Harsh.
The idea is you want to take out 3 game checks.
Little harsh. I'm not a fan. I was not a fan of this. If you want to suspend him a game, fine. If you want to fine him, fine. Do you think he was malicious? I don't think he was trying.
The thing is, he has a history of this.
Okay.
And apparently, if you ask Brian Rhodes, Brian Rhodes is our boss at ESPN West Palm.
Program director, content director.
Who has covered FAU for a number of years. And Al-Shaair is apparently a great story that came through the South Florida area. And according to Brian, this guy is,
model citizen.
A saint walking. And he's going to be like on the windows of churches, in the near future. To me, I've seen that. I haven't seen this level of chivalry from Al-Shaair myself. But according to Brian, according to people in South Florida, he's a terrific story, and he deserves to be commended. Now, I thought that was a dirty hit. I thought he shouldn't have done that, and he has a history of hitting late, malicious, egregious. He has a history of that. So that was what Joe Runyon, who is the punishment guy for the NFL, that's what he said in response to it. It was a pretty harsh memo in regard to announcing the suspension. He said, you are not holding yourself up to the standard that the NFL prides themselves on, and this has been a history of malicious and malintent types hits that we are no longer going to tolerate.
And you're a Jag fan, too. You're a big Trevor Lawrence fan. You're a big Jags fan.
Yeah, it pissed me off. He shouldn't have done that, but jeez, the way it's like he killed their dog. Like, relax. It was a dirty hit, and he dove at the head. He shouldn't have went after the slide. And D'Amico Ryans, I thought, was more wrong. Same with Nick Caserio, their general manager and head coach of the Texans, because they completely defended him and went after Lawrence. I don't think that was the right move, and I don't know if you can't shift blame 100% of the way just to defend your guy.
You hate stories like this, right? You hate having to talk about stuff like this when injuries happen, guys getting fined. Is it malicious? Is it this? Is it that? I can't wait for the situation to blow over and be over. I hope Trevor Lawrence's speedy recovery. I hope the young man who played at FAU that our program director, Brian Rowitz, is going to bat for, and same with D'Amico Ryans and Nick Caserio, GM of the Texans. I hope he learns his lesson, because I really do think that when stuff like this happens, that's the ugly part of sports. That's the ugly part of sports.
You want to protect your quarterbacks.
Yeah. And they're your moneymakers, right? Trevor Lawrence just got a giant contract from the Jags. They're expecting him to be their franchise quarterback for years to come.
Which is why I don't necessarily disagree with punishing him in that sense.
3 games, though?
3 games is a lot. I was expecting 2.
Games, man.
I was expecting 2.
God,
I was expecting 2. But the thing is, he has a history of this. He has always been a dirty player. Even the week before against the Titans, he had an extremely late hit, I believe, on Tyjae Spears. But I could be wrong. It hitting him essentially 4 feet out of bounds. So this is not something that is a new concept to Al-Shaair. So which is to that point, and the NFL looked at all of that, and the reason Caserio got mad, the general manager of the Houston Texans, is he said that the NFL is establishing these punishments based on an unfair way, analysis of the character of the person that it happened to. Where there's guys who are ejected for late hits or egregious unnecessary roughness hits, and they're not suspended. Well, that's exactly the reason why they suspended him, is because this guy is a repeat offender. It's like the law. It's like if you're a repeat speeder and it's not your first speeding ticket and you went 30 above the speeding limit, no wonder you're going to get more of a punishment comparatively to the guy who's this first time in the courtroom. So it's the same concept. And I don't know why he, went to arms so adamantly to the media about how they kind of targeted him here. They targeted him because he does this a lot.
Yeah.
So from that perspective, that's where I kind of push back.
I'm with you that everyone kind of overreacted about the situation. It was a dirty play. Does he deserve to be suspended? Yes. I think 3 games is crazy, but
it's a lot for a playoff contending team late in the year.
That's what is going to happen, and that's what we're going to have to live with. Can we all move on now? I mean, honestly, can we all stop screaming into a microphone about how he deserves this, he deserves that? It's over. It's done with. And then remember when Tua got hurt all those years back in Cincinnati? I don't think that guy got suspended. Technically a dirty hit. I know probably not along the lines of that, but to Nick Casario's point, how many, are you going to do this for every single case? Is this an individual case study? But I appreciate your point of comparing it to me getting my license suspended. If you're a multiple offender,
a repeat
speeding,
offender,
exactly,
you're gonna get the hammer.
You're gonna get the book thrown at you, like I did when I was 16 years old. So fair point of the NFL, and the fair point of how they want to police this. And you gotta know, as an edge rusher, you gotta know to pull up nowadays, dude. You got to know that,
that's
hey,
why,
man, I can't do this
people
hit
are saying
anymore.
A late hit, late slide. Late slide? Really? 4 yards ahead of time, I had the sense that he was going down.
Right.
And you can't give me the late slide when he jammed his forearm into his face mask that paraded off the turf.
And the old school football fan is sitting there going, "Oh, it was worse in our time, brother." But it's a different game now.
Yeah, you don't want Lawrence drooling into a cup by the time he's 45 years old. They're trying to protect the heads of these quarterbacks.
Yes.
So let's be careful with the long-term effects of these major concussions. This should not be something that we applaud or encourage. The NFL should and is right to establish some sort of precedence here. Is it egregious? Probably in terms of the actual punishment, but they're trying to protect these guys long-term. This concussion stuff, the CTE was a major, major problem. At least they're doing something that shows you that the NFL is actually taking this seriously, and they're trying to learn from their mistakes a little bit.
To your point, learn from the Tua situation, right?
And there was nobody to suspend there. That Damar Hamlin, that was a Tua-infused problem against the Buffalo Bills earlier in the year in Week 2.
Yep.
So from that, there's somebody here that you could actually place blame on that's outside of the quarterback. So Trevor Lawrence, it looks to be in the concussion protocol for the foreseeable future. I could see them shutting him down for the rest of the year.
Wouldn't you? Wouldn't
maybe
Mac Jones secure the number 1 pick?
I don't know. They don't think like that because all those guys are going to be out. The coaches are going to be out. The general manager's going to be out. So they don't think like that. But I understand that point. Yeah,
you're right. They're trying to save their jobs.
They're trying to save their jobs. But I could see them shutting him down for the year. And Azeez Al-Shaair, who is apparently Mr. South Florida, according to Brian Rowitz of ESPN West Palm, he is going to be suspended for 3 games.
Wouldn't you want Travis Hunter? Wouldn't you want Travis Hunter in a Jag uniform?
Of course. Listen, I'm
Get
the fan.
number 1 pick.
I'm the fan. I'm used to this.
What's the famous line? Oh, the team that doesn't need a quarterback is high up in the draft is the team who gets the best player available.
Well, sure. And whether they trade out, that's neither here nor there. We'll continue the conversation a little later. I want to get into